to Dharma Time. I'm your host, the Dharma Guy, here with the Dope Doctor on WPSN99.com, the Problem Solving Network. That's where we stream solutions, right?
That's right.
What we do here?
That's right. We stream
I think
solutions.
so. I'm having a hard time hearing my cans there, man.
Do you have it turned up?
I think so. It was up as earlier. Anyways, oh, there we go. Look at that.
I can turn you up here, though.
I like it. Makes me feel heard.
Right
it feels good outside, dude. It feels great. I don't know where everybody who is listening to this or watching, I guess, on Facebook here.
Some people are in some cold weather, man.
I know. I mean, I'm seeing some pictures of, like, snow and whatnot, which I'm a little jealous of, to be honest with you. Having said that, I think the high today here is supposed to be like 63 or something, which I'm totally cool with. Yet again, though.
Had a cold front, right?
Tomorrow's supposed to be like 50-something, I believe. I will say, though, on the way here, I stopped at the gas station, and yet again, people are looking at me like I'm insane because I've got shorts, tank top, and sandals, which is like my uniform essentially.
Yeah.
And they're all bundled up like they're in Antarctica, man. Like they got like wool parkas and stuff. Like, dude, it's not.
Well, I mean,
it's not 30 below, man.
Well, you know.
Anyways,
you are dressed for like summer.
I'm dressed like I live in Florida, which is
in the summer.
Last I checked, it's always summer here, man. Anyways, I digress. This is our first show since Thanksgiving, or no?
Yes.
It is. Well, hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving. That's I guess my memory's starting to go bad too because I couldn't remember. I had a good Thanksgiving.
How would you forget that? It just happened.
Dude, man,
you're getting like me.
Yeah, I know. It's contagious. Anyways, so
age is progressive too.
Yeah. Anyways, so today's show, right? Today's show is going to be action versus intent. Action versus intent.
Yep.
I think now's a good time to have that. Because I think there's a lot of stuff happening, obviously, in today's world, all over the media and politics, as well as just in our day-to-day lives.
Right.
I think the one I'm more concerned with is the day-to-day life stuff.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, my life kind of goes on regardless of what happens in Washington. Granted, they can have legislature that affects it or whatever, but when I leave here on my way home, I'm not really going to be affected much by what happens in legislation, as opposed to what happens in front of me on the road.
You're fortunate.
Things of that nature.
You're fortunate.
Okay.
Well, some people are. I mean, obviously, some people are a little bit more affected on the day-to-day concerns.
Yeah, the ones that live up in Washington. What I'm saying is the person who cuts you off in traffic has an immediate impact on your day, as opposed to legislation which takes time to be voted on, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a large majority of us care about is our day-to-day stuff, like what's happening directly in front of me and how that is impacting me, I guess.
Right.
And the thing that I notice a lot, even with my kids, right? And I'm gonna come up. I'll say the true reason why we're doing this in a minute, but an example would be, one of my kids will accidentally hurt the other kid.
Right.
They're playing, they're doing whatever.
Right.
They'll bump into them or something will happen, and it was an accident. And one of them will get hurt. And I'll say to them, hey, apologize for hurting them. Mm-hmm. And their answer was almost always, well, I didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what your intent was. It doesn't matter whether you were trying to hurt them or not. You hit them, and it hurt. So you need to apologize for that. You're not in a position to dictate to them what hurts or what doesn't hurt.
That's right.
And they'll begrudgingly, I'm sorry. And I'm like, all right, say it like you mean it. Come on. But I think that's kind of what we're talking about today is oftentimes, in life, we'll do things that may impact somebody in a way that we didn't intend for it to impact them. And we'll say in our minds, like, hey, get over it or whatever. That's not what I meant.
That's right.
And we'll just completely overlook the fact that that's how that person interpreted it and it hurt them.
Yeah.
And so I think that we do need to understand it. Now, whether or not everybody owes everybody an apology or not, that's not where we're going today. Mm-hmm. I think we're going over just a philosophical standpoint of action versus intent.
Right.
Right. And one of the reasons why we're coming up with this, just so y'all know, if you have not been paying attention, shame on you.
Oh boy, here we go.
If you have been paying attention, then you'll know that I have convinced.
Full disclosure.
I have convinced him to get a PlayStation 4 and start playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Hell.
And so within this game, everything's kind of related, right? So you're going through the world, you're doing all sorts of stuff, and you kind of have free choice to do whatever you want.
Right.
However, your actions have consequences to them.
Yeah.
And so if you did something that turns out to be viewed in a negative light, then it affects the rest of your gameplay, which is kind of a microcosm of life.
Yeah, it's the reality.
Yeah, no matter what you do, it's going to impact the people around you, and you're going to be judged based upon that. So that was the catalyst, I guess, for what we came up with. So
well, because we were sitting here stuck, not knowing what to talk about.
Yeah.
And since we've been talking so much about this damn game that you got me hooked on.
That's right, man. You're welcome for that.
Thank you very
much.
much.
An awesome game.
Dope dealer. But since and that's what we're dealing with in the game.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's the first thing we need to understand, though, is we as individuals, we will judge somebody else based upon what we see.
God.
Right. We'll judge them based upon whatever we saw them do, and not what was in their head, what their intent was. I think there's an old cliche that says the road to hell is paved with good intentions, kind of a thing.
Right.
And we're all guilty of it. Like, I don't care who you are, you're guilty of it.
Man, you create a whole dialogue,
yes.
a whole storyboard, a whole movie in your head about what that person must have intended.
Yes, and what they were thinking.
That guy on the road tried to kill me.
Yeah.
You see that?
Exactly.
He's trying to kill me.
Yes. Mind you, that person on the road probably doesn't even know you exist.
Oh, he knows. He tried to kill me, Trinity. He deserved to get run off the road.
But I've seen that too. I've actually seen that too with my own kids, right? Like, like one of them will do something, and I'll watch it happen.
Yeah.
And I'll see it's an accident. Like, they weren't paying attention. They did something.
Right.
And the other one will get all mad, and I'll say, no, they didn't mean to do that. Yes, they did. Like, you couldn't possibly know that. I watched it happen, and I can tell you it was an accident.
But you don't know. But you don't know, Trinity.
He's my kids are
devious.
Very manipulative.
Yeah, he's got that little pinky in the mouth. Yeah, that dude.
But the Dr. Evil. But no, I think that. But we all do that, man. Right? Like, we go through life, and somebody. I hear it all the time, especially like coworkers. Right? Mm-hmm. I hear like. When I was doing groups,
mind you, I'm his only coworker right now.
Well, no, like when I was doing groups, right? People would come and complain about coworkers a lot.
I'm listening.
But people would complain about coworkers.
Yeah,
and they were like, "Oh, this person does this." Like, hold up, you don't know what that person does when they leave you. You don't know what their life is like. You don't know what they're going through in their personal level. Like, you are assuming based upon your expectations and your outlook, what this person should or shouldn't do.
Yes,
but they don't know what their intent is, and I see that in personal relationships, whether it be friends or romantic relationships.
I see it on the road mostly because that's
that's out there too.
Well, because that's the part.
I'm guilty of that myself.
The only reason I bring that one up is because that's the one I still sometimes struggle with.
Right.
Typically I'm good everywhere else.
Right.
I think I've done really well in so many places.
Sure.
And I think I've done really well on the road as well.
Well, you're not in jail at the moment, or you're not dead. So.
I haven't ran anybody over. And I used to do that.
Right.
I have.
Wait, you used to run people over?
Like, I'd hit their car. I would hit their car.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I had a big 4x4 truck at one time with a big metal bar in the front.
I'd shoot you.
And I'd bump into the car. They would try to brake check me.
Yeah.
But I had a gun, so good luck with that.
It's on, man. If somebody hit my truck, dude, it's on.
Right,
we're about to have ourselves a misunderstanding.
A truck as big as mine. I would do that. Pull over.
Right.
Let's pull over and fight about it.
Yeah. I've had those moments.
Yeah, we've had those. But get real close, scrape their car maybe a little bit or something like that, or throw things at the car. I used to do that as well. And I'm talking teenager.
Oh, you're not talking about like last week or anything?
No. I'm talking teenager. I'm talking marbles, locks. I got the locks from my dad. I can't believe my dad used to throw locks in a car. But
you're telling all your secrets right now, man.
I am telling all the secrets. But I used to be horrible on the road. But so verbal, you're lucky you're getting the verbal.
Right.
But even that, I don't even do that anymore. I don't flick you off anymore. I don't yell at you anymore. I just, in my head, I do it under my breath. I'm like, what a dumb. You know what I mean? I'll say it under my breath. I like what Marissa says. She says his wife went into labor. That's what you tell yourself to prevent the road rage. That's a good trick. I'm going to use that. His wife just went. What I usually do is he's real important right now. I'm not. Let me just scoot over. And what I do to prevent road rage is actually I get way over to the right side and just chill for a second and just relax and let it all just play out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have those same issues, man. Like but that's just once again a microcosm, I think, of life. The two things I see a lot is number one, something will happen in front of somebody, and they'll fill in the narrative. Yeah. And they'll come up with all these reasons, and they'll judge that individual by their actions. Yeah. The other thing I see a lot, though, is people will do things, be judged by their actions, and get upset with that, and be like, "No, that's not what I meant," And like, so we love it. We love doing it to other people. But we hate having it done to us. Boy. Right. Woo, that is not a good thing. Don't you dare tell me what I was thinking. Don't put words in my mouth. But you just did it to everybody you've interacted with today. Yeah.
It's like going up in front of a judge and saying, well, I didn't intend to shoot him. That wasn't my intent. Like, I didn't intend to run him off the road and die. I intended to run him off the road, but I didn't intend for his car to flip.
Exactly. which is why you don't run people off the road, because it could happen.
Why you don't run people off the road, because they may die.
Exactly.
So don't do it, kids.
Yeah.
Don't run people off the road.
You can check that box. But no, I think that's part of the thing, man. And so I think that philosophically speaking, I think one of the things that we have to understand, even from our own perspective, is you're being judged by your actions. That's why the old adage, of actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Like if I'm telling you one thing, but I'm doing something completely opposite, you're going to pay attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The example I always use, obviously, is an extreme example, but if somebody walks up to you and says, "I love you," and punches you in the mouth,
right,
which one are you going to walk away remembering? You're going to walk away remember getting punched in the mouth. You're not going to remember the person said, "I loved you." So I think that we have to understand that our actions have to kind of coincide with what our belief system is, or what our intent is.
Have you noticed, does Angel agree with you on...
No, never.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you asking?
No, because I'm an actions kind of guy. I'm an action-oriented kind of guy, because I follow your actions over what you tell me more than anything.
What is that? I believe none of what I hear, half of what I see, or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But Dana, my wife, likes words so much. You know how we do the love languages sometimes? We reference that?
Yeah.
Hers is definitely words, and mine is definitely actions.
Words
In other words,
of affirmation?
She just likes the words. She likes whatever the words are, love songs are love songs, right?
Yes.
Like, if I would go by Dana's belief system, I would think John Mayer is an awesome person. Okay. I don't know John Mayer. I don't know if he's that loving. Right. Matter of fact, if you'd go by some of the relationships that he's had, it may not be the case.
Well, how'd that work out with Bill Cosby?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the kind of thing, she'll buy into that because she likes those songs, like Ed Sheeran type songs. Sure. So in her point of reference, like those songs. Well, yeah, but I don't look at it like those songwriters are that way. I look at it like, they know how to put the words together.
Well, half the time those not even their songs.
But can they act it? Can they do it?
Yeah.
And I'm more the kind of guy that says, look, I got some words for you, baby. Don't get me wrong, because that's how you fell in love with me. Because I got some words for you.
Sure.
But I backed it up with action. It was my action that kept you around. Because my words may have reeled you in.
Right.
And my words, keep you happy a lot of times, because I'm good with that. However, it's my actions that should be more complimented.
Sure.
And I like to be complimented for my actions more than my words. And so she's the opposite. She likes to always say it, but then sometimes she'll do something and I'll be like, whoa, wait a minute. You're saying you love me, but at the same time you're doing stuff that's really not okay. So stop that and then just do the word.
Right.
I mean, you're going to do the words, do the action behind it.
Sure.
And she thinks, well, I said it. I told you I'm sorry. I said, yeah, but 2 seconds ago you did it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I need a little bit more time.
Sure.
Than 2 minutes.
My thing is I guess along that same lines, there was times very similar to that. Like she'll say something, whatever, that would hurt my feelings or something. Right. And I would say something about it, and she would try to apologize or something like that. Right. But she'd keep doing it.
Yeah.
And then she'd get mad at me for keep bringing it up.
That's what I'm talking about.
You never stop doing it.
Yeah.
So, you can't tell me you're sorry about something, but you keep on doing it.
Right.
So, yes, in that sense, I'm more action-oriented for sure.
And I need time, Trinity.
Me too. I'm a very tender soul, man.
I just need a little bit of time.
Yes. I need some time, love, and tenderness, man. God.
And I'm more of an action. I am a touchy-feely person.
Right.
More than the verbal, even though I speak for a living and I've always have.
Well, in that sense, I'm more of a verbal guy. I'm more of a verbal affirmations kind of guy. But I think in the end, though, I think we all have a certain amount of actions, though. Obviously, if I took it extreme, if your spouse is telling you they love you all the time, but you catch them cheating all the time, you're going to start questioning their love for you. You know what I mean? So I think we all have a certain sense of action-oriented stuff.
Right.
Which is weird because even though we all agree on that, we still kind of do it.
I don't think we all agree on that. I think some people out there are in bad situations. I think some people listening right now are watching this on YouTube or on Facebook. They absolutely stay in bad situations with someone who's abusing them
I agree with
by
that.
cheating on them and doing real harmful things to them, but they're staying with them.
I think but I think that sometimes
because of what they say,
just comfortable with a bad situation. Sometimes people
that's part of it.
Comfortable with chaos.
That's definitely part of it.
Or they confuse love for certain things.
Right.
But I just think that there is something to the other thing I guess I would say is what surprises me, and I'll use a game reference for this one just to get it out there.
Okay.
When you're in the game Red Dead, like if you're
Right.
being nice to people, it's kind of a weird thing, but if you're being nice to people and saying hi and greeting and helping people, when you go into the stores, they charge you less money. Like things,
I did not know that.
things are cheaper in the
I did
stores.
not know that.
Not like a lot, but I mean a pretty significant amount.
I like
guess.
cheaper.
But if you're bad, if you're in there, you're shooting people and you're doing things and you're robbing, whatever. When you go to the city stores, they jack the prices up for you.
Well, you know what? That is true in real life too, though.
But that's my point is I think that the thing that confuses me sometimes is when I see people doing stuff, and then they're surprised and shocked by the way they're treated. You see it a lot in sports, for instance. Like one of my favorite teams growing up of all time was the Chicago Bulls, right? And one of my favorite players on the Bulls, other than Jordan, obviously,
Rodman
was Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
Right? The Worm. But the problem with the Worm was he was always getting into trouble.
Yes.
And so what that meant, though, is every single thing he did was under a microscope.
Right.
And then sometimes he would be like shocked and in awe, like, why are you doing this to me? Really? Really? Like, how many times have you done something horrible?
Right.
And now they're looking at you closely.
Right.
And then now, no matter what, even if you accidentally did something, they're assuming it's on purpose because you've done it so many times on purpose.
Exactly.
That now they're going to do that. And I think that we as human beings sometimes do that sometimes. Like, we'll get into the situation where our outlook on things is so poor that we're doing all sorts of stuff like, everybody's out to get me.
Yeah.
And then you'll point to all these situations that kind of reiterate that idea, completely ignoring though what you've done to deserve some of that stuff.
Exactly.
It's like, hold up, don't act like all these people are just waking up in the morning and just, I'm gonna go be mean to this person. You were rude to this individual, or you had this kind of mindset, or you walked in looking like you're ready to fight somebody. Well, of course they're gonna be kind of rude to you. Like, they don't realize the role that they're playing in that.
Sometimes people will treat you based on how you treat someone else as well. So
A lot of the time.
So they're watching you. People are watching you. I mean, they may and look, I don't want to have to read your intent. If
Right.
we're not in a relationship of any type,
Right.
I'm definitely not looking at your intent. I'm just looking at your actions. You know what I mean?
I would
So if
agree
I
with
just
that, I think.
if I'm just going by you in a store, or you're just in the same mall as I am, or on the same road as I am, or whatever it is, I'm not going by any of your intent. I'm only focused on get out of my way.
Right.
Or you just cut all these people off over there, or you just cut that person in line,
Right.
Things like that. Things,
Sure.
acts of rudeness.
Yeah, actually.
Now, yes, you may need to hurry up because, the babysitter's leaving in 5 minutes.
Sure.
You may have some emergency. I get it. But that's how I process it so that I don't say something or I don't own it.
To bring up Ryan Goodman, actually, on our Facebook Live feed,
Okay.
came up with an interesting statement, actually. And,
Okay.
and I think it bears saying.
Okay.
He says sometimes people see if they're getting abused, then at least the person abusing them cares about them. Like, you care enough about me to hit me, kind of a thing. I think there are a lot of people who feel that way.
Yeah, there are people that feel that way.
They confuse an action that we all would agree that is bad. They think it's actually a good thing.
It's so close to love.
It is.
Love
It
and hate
is.
is so close together.
Yeah. Well, that's why they say one of the worst things you can do,
Yeah.
right, is ignore somebody.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that get to people the most.
Right.
Is,
At least you-
even my kids sometimes, they'd rather be yelled at than not talked to, kind of a thing.
Right.
Like, even bad attention is good attention.
Yeah. I like that my parents showed love with money, not punching me.
Yeah, right?
I take that over. If I'll take that form of love
Sure.
over punching me any day.
Right. Well, I mean, because if you're into the other one, man, I could start throwing things at you, man.
I'm not saying I don't like a little violence every once in a while.
Sure.
A little aggression. You want a little tussle.
Yeah. But I think people need to understand, though, man. Like, as much as you're doing it to others, they're doing it to you too, though.
Yeah.
We're going around judging other people by their actions.
Yeah.
Other people are doing it to you as well,
Yeah.
and you got to understand that. Like, some of what's coming to you might not necessarily be quote unquote deserved, I guess.
Right.
But you have to ask yourself: am I behaving in a way that constitutes their treatment of me? Like,
Right.
Am I doing something
Right.
that's causing them to do that to me, or are they just really bad people? And I'm going to say, for the sake of the conversation, there's not that many really bad people.
Right.
I'm going to say a lot of times they're going off what they saw.
Right.
And they could be completely wrong. You know what I mean? Like, there's instances where, like, if you saw somebody, like a domestic fight or something like that. Let's say you saw a guy and a girl out and they're in a relationship, and they've had a bad day. They're arguing all day long. They're just fighting about stuff.
Yeah.
And you just so happen to walk around the corner and see him yelling at her.
Yeah.
Not realizing that she was just completely annihilating him like 5 minutes earlier, but all you saw was him yelling at her. You're gonna think, man, what a dick, man.
Yeah,
like,
5 minutes ago she pulled a knife on him and she cheated on him.
Exactly.
With his best friend.
Yeah, but all you see is you don't realize
him yelling at her.
Yeah, you don't realize that his intent is like, I'm tired of being hurt by you.
Right.
But what you see is him yelling, so you're gonna be like, dang, what a dick, man.
Yeah, then you jump in and it ends up being a fiasco.
Yeah, that's why I don't jump in.
I do.
I know.
That's going to eventually lead to a problem.
Yeah. But that's the thing is I think we have to kind of understand that, because I think you mentioned prior to going on air, that was one of the things you kind of talked the most about was a combination, I guess, of the fact that what we do in the world brings something towards us.
Absolutely.
Plus, as you say, I think your words were as we stored it, right? Like as we hold on to things.
Yeah, you start storing, how people are, and you start identifying people like people that look like you, for instance. All right, so big white dude with tattoos and beard, right?
We're all cuddly and we love everybody.
Well, you start storing whatever happened in your life,
sure.
And however the intent of people that look like you, I stored in my memory bank. I started thinking, well, all of them feel like that, and you start storing these banks of resentments. Up.
Well, how about the whole all women are bad or all men are bad?
Right.
All men are cheaters.
You
all men are dogs.
You hear that all the time.
you
hear that all the time.
All men are dogs.
Yeah.
Or I'll see on my feed come up and like, all men cheat. Like, hold
up. Right.
Like, no, they don't.
Yeah. Dude, the biggest thing that has attracted women ever in my life was this damn wedding ring.
Yeah. Right.
I think I this wedding ring doesn't stop people.
No.
From being inappropriate.
It encourages a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I agree though that for instance, for that person that says all men are bad or all women are bad, right? Because there's men out there to do it too. Right. I think that affects how you see things. Like if you're looking for something long enough, you're going to find it, whether it's there or not. Yeah. Right. So if you're starting out with a biased opinion of all men are bad or all women are bad, no matter what that person does, you're going to always err on the side of you're right. So if that person let's say that person's having a bad day, they lost their mother, right, and they're walking in, they kind of give you just a dirty look or something like that. See, they're all bad,
right.
Like really, like it has nothing to do with that person's mother just died. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about they're bad. So you just constantly, it's that confirmation bias, right? Like you're going to constantly be looking for things to confirm your own stance. I think they call that Occam's broom.
Right,
that's what they call that.
Right.
I think I'm pulling out some good stuff today.
You're pulling off some interesting references.
We have Occam's broom and Occam's razor.
Okay. Go ahead. All right. I'm just looking at this intent in since the topic of the show is action versus intent.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of like on the border, right? With everything happening on the border.
Here we go.
No. I'm not trying to get political. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, you are. Let's do it.
No. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm just trying to insinuate and talk about how people judge the intent of one side or the actions of one side. The action is, whatever. Like if I'm viewed as I'm doing something either illegal or harmful, even though my intent is just simply I want something.
Okay.
Right. But if you judge it that I'm doing something harmful to you or against your system, you're going to be a little bit more confrontational to me.
Okay.
I get that. But the ability to learn that or to know that came through a lot of years of feeling like a victim. In other words, if you're walking around, remember we're talking about storing.
Right.
So if I've stored up enough negative energy in me to feel like I'm a victim in life, and I walk around as a victim, I'm going to judge you completely by what I think your intent is, even when your actions are good, Trinity. So even if you have good intent and good actions,
yes,
my judgment of you is going to be based on the intent
I have an agenda
I have in my head and the actions of other people before you.
Yes.
And so we walk around with this. And so then right now in this extremely volatile political climate that we have, this is I feel just my belief system. I feel that this has been manufactured by the publicity it's gotten. Because in our day-to-day lives, the people that we have been working around that now we have defriended and we are now judging based on whatever view they take or whatever side they take. 5 minutes ago, we weren't doing this. Because we weren't judging who they were in totality. But now based on the color red or the color blue, you've now completely
Yes.
judged them.
Yes.
And I think incorrectly.
Yes.
Many times.
I do see that a lot, actually. I do see what I found interesting was there's I think his name is Frank Luntz. He does like focus groups.
Okay.
He's a strategist.
Okay.
Dude's brilliant, man. I love watching him.
All right.
But he was a strategist for Republicans for many, many years. Helped them get elected. Does polls and does like focus groups where he talks to people and he
Right.
kind of he does more questions than answers. Basically, he just asks a bunch of questions and listens to the answers.
Right.
What I find interesting is oftentimes you will hear that very same thing. If somebody has like a different color, using a political stance.
Okay.
If you believe in such and such, then automatically you believe everything that they believe.
Right.
Or you believe everything I think they believe, basically, right? Because, you have certain stereotypes of either side.
Right. You're all blue or you're all red.
Yeah, both of which are completely nonsensical. I mean, I know plenty of people who are Republicans who are not the stereotypical Republican that everybody thinks of, and vice versa.
Right.
But what I found interesting though, that I don't think a lot of people pay attention to, is when he does these little focus groups. A lot of times they agreed on so many things, but like you said, they believe the outliers. They believe the extremes on both,
Right.
and then you just lump them all in.
Right.
Like if I were to tell you that, hey, we're going to go to this place, this room, and they're all, Republicans in there, or they're all Democrats. You're going to walk in with a preconceived notion of what's going to be in there.
And you're going to treat them a certain way from jump.
Exactly. You're going to automatically start looking for confirmation. Every question you're going to ask them is going to be a loaded question.
Right.
And the weight that you put on that, they're not going to be aware of how much.
Right.
They're not aware of the fact that they're like lambs led to a slaughter.
Right. See, I feel that in certain. I'm sorry.
But if I were to put you in that same room and don't tell you ahead of time what their political beliefs are, and then I asked you afterwards to tell me which ones you wouldn't get it right, I guarantee you.
Maybe.
I mean, there's certain indicators, maybe.
Yeah, there's some.
But for the most part, if I were to ask you what their political beliefs are,
Right.
you probably wouldn't be able to tell me a lot of it. Or you wouldn't realize that it's completely mixed.
Does that happen to you? Because that's happened to me. Because I've expressed certain views around certain people.
Right.
So I've realized that sometimes when I say something, I could be saying something that's totally doesn't mean whatever they just responded to.
Oh, that happens to me a lot.
And I'm like,
I get misinterpreted all the time.
right. And
usually for the worse, by the way.
Right. Especially right now, like with this political thing. I think here's the biggest thing. You do know I help people for a living. And I help people. And I've been open helping all types of people.
Right.
Doesn't matter what culture, doesn't matter what race, doesn't matter what sexual preference, doesn't matter any of that. There are individuals in my life that because I've defended certain actions of this president that now want to believe
Sure. You're a horrible Republican now.
that first of all, they want to believe I'm a Republican, which I'm independent.
Right.
Second of all, they now want to believe that everything nice I do for women, I really don't like women. And everything that I do, and as open as I am about whatever sexual preferences people have, now all of a sudden I'm against them.
You're a very rude man, Louis.
And it's like, where did that come from? You do
Sure.
realize. And then I'm self-hating Mexican.
You're just a horrible person, man. What the heck?
All because of one comment I may have made about defending him, saying, hey, back up, relax.
Sure. That is why
dude.
you just nailed it right on the head, why I am very careful in what I put on my social media posts.
Oh, I don't do any of that. This was a personal friend.
I know, but that's why I do that, because and even personal conversations, I'm very careful with whom I have what conversations with.
No problem.
Only because I don't want them to then all of a sudden take anything and run with it in either direction.
Yeah.
Because I have very liberal views on certain things and very
Right.
conservative views on other things.
Right.
Which, once again, why I'm also
I have
independent.
conservative views when it comes to my money.
Yeah, but that's why I'm independent as well, because I
Right.
think both sides are full of it.
Right.
But if I just so happen to believe with a certain thing on a liberal side,
Right.
then if the person I'm speaking with has a certain extremist view of anybody who believes that,
Right.
then instantly I become a different person in their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But that's what I'm talking about. So
And that's where we're at right now.
Right. And then so you take that and you go action versus intent, right? So
Yeah.
you want to judge, and we have to stop judging other people's intent and start looking at what their actions really are. If these people are doing good things, You need to be okay with that and give them a compliment when people are doing good things.
Sure.
Regardless of whether you do, but he's doing it because of this. He's got ulterior motive. I don't care. I don't care. Listen, at the end of the day, if that beggar down there, if that person is starving for food and you walk by, I don't care if you're a selfish punk and the only reason you gave him $5 or you gave him a chicken McNugget was because, you were on camera. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, that person got his chicken McNugget.
That's an interesting perspective,
and so I guess I'm looking at, I don't really care what your intents are out there. You can keep your intents. You could be a horrible person. You can be a hypocrite. I'm done judging hypocrisy in the world. Because I now believe that we all carry a form of hypocrisy and a little bit of hypocrisy.
Sure.
And apparently we're okay with the level of hypocrisy we're walking around with because we're judging everybody else's level of hypocrisy.
Right.
But the point is, as long as you do the right thing, I don't care what your intent is or was, and I don't care what you do behind your closed doors, and I don't care of what comments you may say negatively about me.
Yeah, I can't really argue against that. I can't argue against that.
Doesn't matter to me.
It's an interesting premise, I guess, because we haven't really talked about that. Like, we haven't talked about the greater good, essentially.
Right.
We've been talking about interpersonal relationships, where I think in that situation, intent really does kind of matter. To whereas in the big scheme of things, in the greater good, yeah, you're right. It doesn't really matter. Like, for instance, we are very obviously heavily involved with a nonprofit, Now Matters More Foundation, where we help put people in treatment.
Right.
I'm not foolish enough to believe that all these companies that give us money to do what we do is doing it out of the kindness of their heart.
Don't care.
I think a lot of them want exposure, which means they want clients or they want whatever business that they're operating in, or they're looking for a tax write-off.
Don't care.
I don't really care. Like, matter of fact, without those things, they might not have given it to us.
Right.
We have land right now that I'm not 100% sure we would have gotten had the person not gotten a tax write-off.
100%.
You know what I mean?
We wouldn't have gotten it if the person wouldn't have got a tax write-off.
Exactly. So let's just call it duck
and
duck.
Care.
It doesn't matter to us, and I think the people that we help don't care where the money came from or why it came from us. They care that we're able to give them help.
Right.
So, I think there is something to be said about that. Like, it doesn't matter what your intent is as long as you're doing the right thing.
If we had to listen. First of all these large corporations, the real large companies, like, let's look at places like Starbucks.
Okay.
The more I know about Starbucks politically, and the more I know about their political views, it's the same with Chick-fil-A. So you take Starbucks and Chick-fil-A,
right?
Two opposing. Two companies, right?
I love me some Chick-fil-A, though, man.
There are people that will not go to Chick-fil-A because of political reasons.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A has an awesome chicken sandwich. They don't even need to pay me.
Oh, I love it.
I love Chick-fil-A.
Yes. And I love the way that people treat me when I go there, by the way.
So don't tell me I will never go to Chick-fil-A.
I wish everybody in my life...
the nicest people.
I wish everybody in my life treated me the way Chick-fil-A treats me. Like, I would think I was dead or I've been diagnosed with cancer if I woke up and in my whole life everybody treated me that way.
I am convinced Chick-fil-A can take an a-hole and make them a nice person. I'm just convinced because
it's such an amazing place when you walk in.
Whatever's in that, what is the sauce called? Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah.
Whatever's in that sauce must make you a really nice person.
I guess.
I'm gonna eat more of it.
I love that.
In the same thing in Starbucks. People are you're like Starbucks crazy. Like they're Starbucks loyal. Yeah. Like a Starbucks loyal will not go to Dunkin' Donuts.
No.
A Starbucks loyal will defend any actions the Starbucks does.
Yeah.
That is an addictive substance. The reason I bring it up is because it's an addictive substance. You prey upon people because of their addiction. You know they're coming to you not because you have great coffee, not because you have cheap coffee, not because you donate to the poor, not because you help refugees from around the world, but because it's an addictive substance that has a certain bourgeois feel or vibe to it that just sucks them in. And at the whole time telling you, but we love everybody, and we're accepting of everybody, and we're all inclusive. And it just sucked people in. Whereas Chick-fil-A has never said anything about being exclusive or anything like that other than one religious viewpoint. They don't do anything addictive. There's nothing addictive about the chicken sandwich, or maybe there's something in that damn sauce.
There is.
I don't know.
If there is,
or
I'm
the
okay
pickle,
with it
because the pickle has to be there.
Yeah.
But yet, they get villainized.
Yeah.
Wait, so you have one that's an addiction pusher, that gets looked at like they're saviors of the world because they're all inclusive, and the other one because of a religious view, which my last viewpoint. You're allowed to have religious views.
Sure.
And they close on Sundays despite their capitalism.
Yeah.
Which you got to admire that.
No, it irritates me because on Sundays,
I hate it because
oftentimes
I've always hated it when it's in the mall,
Yes.
and I want it in the mall.
Yes. I've oftentimes like, I want you.
But
Sunday.
you have to admire the level of. In other words, they put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, they commit to it.
They didn't say we're religious over here, but we're not religious over here.
Right.
No, they're it.
Right.
But they're the first ones to give my kids something other than a Coke option.
Right.
They were the first ones to give you an educational toy rather than just a toy, and yet they're still villainized. Yeah. None of that family values that they did. None of the things that they had the cleanest little place for my kids to play when they were little. And they were the nicest people. When you go, that you really do get service with a smile, and they're all friendly, and they're outside in the drive-thru helping you the whole time.
Yeah. But nobody pays attention to that.
And they get villainized for one viewpoint.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Intent versus action.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think, and once again, I think we're guilty of it in a sense, and we're also guilty of being unaware of it when we are doing it to others.
Yeah.
Like I said, one of my favorite things is when people are like, "Why are they treating me this way?"
Right.
As they're doing something really horrible to somebody. It's like, well, what'd you expect? It's kind of like in our game, man. If you were robbing and shooting, are you really that surprised when you go into the town and they don't want to talk to you?
Right.
They're afraid of you. They think you're going to hurt them,
Or they say something negative to you.
Yeah. I haven't.
I'm just riding my horse by somebody and they'll say something negative.
I'm good. So
oh, you're a good person in the game?
I'm always, for now.
I'm not a good person.
Once I beat it, I'm going to go all out and then everybody's going to die.
For the people that are just tuning in, he's talking about Red Dead Redemption 2.
So we just tuned in. Oh my God, they're killing people.
Yeah. Red Dead. I can't even say it. Red Dead 2.
Yes.
He got me to buy the PS4. He got me on this damn game.
You're welcome.
And I'm a straight up outlaw. I'm nice to some people, but I got to admit, I don't play video games to be nice. I'm nice in real world.
I'm the Dharma guy even in there.
Nah, I'm a little bit. There's a little bit in there.
I'm the Dharma guy even while I'm in there.
I'm in the middle. If you look at mine, I'm white, right in the middle. I'm not all red and all white.
Right.
Are you really?
Yeah, I am.
You're all white?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, but you got to remember, the further you get in the story,
middle.
there's more opportunities to do it too, though. So.
Right. And
you'll get there.
You know what we got to get to with action versus intent is texting.
Ooh.
Texting is the biggest example. Biggest example of where people judge your intent rather than the words written on a text.
I am so glad we didn't. I am so thankful you brought that up because I totally
You're
forgot.
welcome.
One of my rules in my house, to be honest with you, is I will not have like important discussions with my wife via text message. Yeah. I will not do it anymore. Early on, we tried to do it, and it just went horribly bad.
Does Angel text you big, long paragraphs when she's mad at you?
Yeah, when she's mad at me.
Do you read them?
I used to. Now I try not to because it's
I have
not
never read a long text from Dana ever. If she's mad at me, I'm not reading the text.
It's usually not going to be good.
Because it's never. If it's an I'm sorry, it's definitely not going to be in a paragraph.
No, but that's why. Because, dude, you read it however you're feeling in that moment.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what the person's saying. You can read it in an aggressive tone. You could read it in an apologetic tone. It does not matter. And not only that, but you have no clue what the person's doing in their day, but you add in all that narrative. And yes, so text messaging, I think, is a perfect example of how we all do it.
Right.
Because you do it every day. No matter what the text is, you read it in your own dialogue, not knowing what that person... Because I can say, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And you're going to read that. It's like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
You have no clue.
No clue.
But you decide, and I think oftentimes it has to do with how you're feeling that day, what you're going through, what your past relationship is with that person. You just assume you know what the tone is.
Marissa says LOL makes it all better. If you put LOL, it makes it all
I'm
better.
definitely guilty of saying some really horrible even though I'm really not laughing out loud.
Well, yeah. Well, it's more like a smile, right? LOL is really a smile, right? All right. So here's the thing. Early on in texting life, right? We all know that
back in the day.
Well, at least 10 years ago, when it was all newer.
Right.
First of all, the younger kids were doing it more skillfully, or they're the ones that kind of invented the rules of texting over the so-called adults.
Okay.
And I'm going to give an example. Initially,
I remember when texting you had to press like three times to get to the F or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Okay, thank you. I'm not even talking about that. What I'm talking about is initially it was all full sentences. Full sentences, correct punctuation, and all that stuff.
I still do. I'm sorry.
Then I remember, seeing like accidentally I did something in capital letters. Accidentally.
Why are you yelling at me?
Yes. I didn't know that was an intent yell. So now I know if they're really mad at you yelling, they're going to put it in capital letters.
Yes.
Don't read capital letters when there's no capital letters. Second one, I didn't know putting a period after like a one-word or two-word thing was a negative. That's
what?
a formal.
That's a negative?
It's something negative and formal, and apparently. And I'm like,
I mean, if you put like,
So,
if you put like one letter and then
yeah, like I don't know, just whatever word and then just period. When you put a period, apparently it means something.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
heard it
now,
here first, kids.
so now, like if I'm texting my children, I don't even put a period because apparently that means something.
It's just long run-on sentence.
Well, no, I mean like when it's one word or two words. I'm just saying.
Okay.
You know, so I won't do it.
Okay. I did not know that.
Ridiculous. I still don't know I just know
Apparently I didn't
that my
know either.
intent never meant anything but an end of a word. Like, because even if it was one word, I'd put a period.
Okay.
But apparently you just put the word.
Shame on you, man.
Bad me.
You're so mean.
So what I'm saying is, how many times are people reading into a text and then sharing it with someone else? That's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're sharing it with your circle of influence.
And they're all
I've
like,
had people tell me,
I can't believe they would say that.
Yeah, I screenshotted it and sent it, and he said the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute. You took the text that person sent you. You had a feeling about it.
Yeah.
You talked about the feeling with a friend.
Yeah.
To further the point, you screenshotted
Yes.
the conversation or that text to your friend that's already on your side.
Yes.
That you've already
Who obviously
built up
confirmed it.
and explained, and then they confirmed it,
Of
so
course.
it must be certain.
Absolutely.
It must be true.
There's no way we can misread that. None whatsoever.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No,
How many times does that happen?
I've actually had my wife sometimes.
LMAO. There you go.
I've actually had my wife
some.
sometimes where I've text her and she'd come home and she's like, "What's wrong? You have a bad day?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Oh, I got your text earlier." I was like,
Right.
dude, I was trying to drive. Like,
Right.
I stopped at a stoplight. I just tried to send you something real quick.
Right.
But she thought that I was ignoring her. I was like,
Yep.
What do you? No. What?
Yep.
Yeah. I think texting is happens all the time.
Yep.
I think it's which is interesting because we're becoming more of a text society.
Right.
You know, there's more people that we text now, even strangers who I don't even know.
I love it.
Business acquaintances,
I love
they're
it.
sending text messages, which I'm totally cool with.
Yeah.
However, you've got to be very careful because things could be misread.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because like I'm still in the education mode to my wife, being like, everyone uses these emojis.
Right.
They don't mean what you think they mean. Because I'll get emojis, and she'll go like, why is she sending you emojis?
Oh.
And so I had to go through emoji education that says like, I don't know. You know, emojis are emojis.
You know,
they don't mean
I'm
a
actually
lot.
very careful with that too.
You know, I may not use it. You know, like I would always do the kissy one to Denise. Like when I text with Denise, and that's been for like 10 years. You know, when as soon as emojis came out, I'd send her the kissing one, right?
Yeah.
Denise is 100% safe. But you think I'm going to send that same kissy one to just anybody? No. But there are some people, even business acquaintances, that just for some reason they end their sentence with something like that.
Yeah.
I've had to educate Dana to say the intent of that is just like, love you. Like people say love you, but they don't really mean love you.
Right.
It's just like they're ciao. You know,
Sure.
goodbye. It's a fancier way of bye for them. Or something like that.
Yeah, but even that, because of action versus intent, I'm very cognizant of that. Like whenever I text somebody, whatever it is,
because you're old like me.
If somebody were to send me like a message on Facebook or whatever, in my responses, I'm very aware of what I'm putting because I do not want them to misread it. And even then, I'm wrong.
We have to.
Sure, but even then, half the time, like, there's been so many times where my wife will have perfect example. We won't go into too much detail, but we were on our way back from somewhere, and we met with somebody.
Right.
And you and I walked away from that situation thinking a certain outcome or thinking a certain vibe. But when we told my wife came up with a completely different vibe that neither one of us thought of.
Right.
I don't know which one's true, but her sounded a little bit better, so we went with that one.
We'll take whichever one's better.
Exactly. But that's the point, though, right? We had no clue. And it was all based upon how we read the situation.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the thing is action versus intent. Actions matter, but so do intent.
Right.
So does intent.
Right.
The problem is, depending on the action, you're not always going to get to the point where you can explain the intent.
Right.
You know, if I come in, you know, and like if I come in and I push somebody, my intent is, hey, there's something coming here, or I'm afraid I'm gonna try to push you out of the way. If you don't see that, it's gonna be very hard for me to explain to you why I pushed you before you get ready to fight me. And so in situations, you know, if you hurt somebody, if you offended somebody, you got to understand that they're gonna react to that whatever that offense was.
That's it.
They're not going to react to what you were thinking. Most people aren't going to get hurt or offended and say, I wonder what they meant by that. They should maybe, but they're not going to.
Right.
It's just not how we're wired. We're very reactionary when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And then you're going to waste your breath and you're going to waste a lot of energy trying to explain your intent when really you need to just apologize and explain at least that you understand the emotion they're feeling instead of trying to drive your point home. At least acknowledge the emotion first. Let it play out, and then later on, when they're not so emotional, you can explain that your intent was different. Yeah. But the initial response that the person's feeling needs to be addressed first, even though you didn't intend it to be that way.
Even if you don't agree with it, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like I had to learn that actually in my marriage, man. Like that was one of the things, because I can be apparently I can be a very callous individual at times. Like very.
Did you just say apparently? You didn't know before you were married that you could be a callous individual?
We'll see. Rough is what I like to call it.
What do you mean we'll see? I don't want to see.
Rough around the edges. But no, so
fluffy in the middle.
That's right. Where are we going wrong?
I don't know.
But no, I think that for me that was one of my lessons that I had to really learn, man.
Okay.
There was things that were happening between her and I that were upsetting her. That in my mind, like that's not what I intended, and it didn't make sense to me. Right. And so I spent a lot of time trying to justify it or trying to correct and say, no, that's not what I meant. Instead. What I had to learn is, like, who am I to tell somebody what's supposed to offend you?
Right.
Who am I to tell you what hurts and what doesn't hurt? Two people can stub their toe, and one person can think it's the worst thing they've ever had in their life, and the other person cannot care. They're both right. You know what I mean? Like, this very well could be the worst pain this person's ever had. I don't know. Maybe they got really sensitive toes. Who knows? And so I had to learn to say, look, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intent. I apologize. I didn't mean to do it. Like, that phrase has come out of my mouth a lot.
Right.
But it's helped squash so many problems because you have to understand that whether you intended that or not, that's how they perceived it. Perception is real. And so you have to, like, give them, look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. That's not what my intent was.
I was about to say that exact same sentence because how many people start off a whole sentence like that?
Yeah.
Look, I don't really mean to offend you, but it's like, okay, here it goes.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody says, I don't mean to offend you, they're about to offend you. Right. All due respect. Yeah. No, there's no respect in this comment right now.
Right.
But no, so I think that is it's very important, that we do that, though. Like you said, is like when my kids, one of them accidentally hurts the other one. Right. And they're like, well, apologize. Well, I didn't do it. It doesn't matter. Right. You hurt them. Like, you got to apologize for that. You got legitimately hurt. And, I don't mean everybody owes everybody an apology. Because sometimes that's a whole other conversation.
Right.
But
I think the worst thing you can do is then build up a whole emotion based on their misinterpretation. Because then the whole conversation or the whole relationship takes a whole different turn.
Yeah.
Whereas really you can nip it in the bud. If you're the one being misinterpreted, if the other person just misread your intent because your action read something different to them, take a breather. Yeah. Relax. If you know that you didn't mean to do that, then you don't get hyped up. Because then if you start responding to them, now the whole conversation takes a different turn. And let me tell you, the problem with that whole scenario is that whoever does whatever true action that the other person hates, that becomes a new focus.
Yeah.
For instance, in a relationship, I've been the one that at the end of it all, whether I say the wrong thing or whatever, finally I say or do something that at the end of it, that's what gets all the attention.
Sure.
I should have shut up.
Yeah.
I should have shut up because when you're right, you're right. Just stay being right.
Yeah.
Because as soon as your action becomes a wrong action.
You're wrong real quick.
And it doesn't matter.
No.
And it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And it's important to learn how to apologize. And I think one day we're going to have to do an apology show.
Yeah.
Because you just mentioned apology and you said you have a whole different view on some of that and you wanted to get deeper into that. Yeah. I think we do need to get deeper into apologizing because I think that
some people don't know how to apologize, man.
Yeah, some people just don't.
I'm sorry, but
right, some people just don't, and some people don't believe in them. For instance, I'm going to give you just a quick synopsis to make a point, and then you got to do your three things because we're running out of time.
Oh my gosh, we are.
But with that, like, I'm a person that if you come to me and apologize,
right,
I'll accept it, but I'm still waiting for the action.
Okay.
Some people think because they say I'm sorry, then all of a sudden then they can just do whatever, and like you were supposed to never bring it up again.
Right.
Listen, it really depends on the scenario. But the point is that if you're in a close relationship with someone who's more action-oriented, they require more actions, then just know that.
Sure.
Just like if you're going to know their love languages, also know that if they're an action-oriented person. It doesn't mean that you totally throw away your words, though. It doesn't mean that you can't say you're sorry. It doesn't mean that you can't explain your intent. It just means that when both are together, when you're expressing correct intent and you're doing correct action, you're probably going to get along better, not only with your relationships, but better with the world.
Well, I mean, who's the apology for? For you or for them?
It's for them.
If it's for them, then you got to do it in a way that they're going to receive it well.
It's for them.
Yeah, it's not for you.
It's not for you.
Absolutely, I agree.
But go ahead, man.
But I think we could do an apology show.
Yeah, I think we need to do an apology show.
I agree. All right, so let me thank the sponsors real quick before we get into our 3 tips, if you will. So first sponsor I'm going to thank is Journey Pier. Journey Pier, as you can see over my shoulder here, fantastic facility. They'd be more than happy to help your loved ones get some treatment. You can contact them directly or through us. And then another fantastic facility, which I think we've had them on, not necessarily on this show, but on Couch Live, is Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. It's my favorite interview of all time. Tom Garofola, awesome dude. Then we got the Orange County Drug Free Coalition, which I've been naughty and have not attended the last couple meetings. I apologize for that. And then, of course, we have the Now Matters More Foundation, and we help put individuals in treatment as well as help you navigate that system. So you can reach us at 833-NOW-MATTERS. That's 833-NOW-MATTERS. Or you can go to nowmattersmore.org and check out what we do, or even donate money, which we're always happy to take money, regardless of your intent. By all means. If you want to give us money, by all means, we'll take it.
You can be a jerk off the rest of the year. I don't care.
Just make sure you keep those checks coming.
You know why you're doing that? You got to explain the smile.amazon.com.
Yes.
And Marissa said plug Giving Tuesday. I didn't know anything about Giving Tuesday, but it sounds...
Yes, today's Giving Tuesday, which I think if you go and you give... If you go through Facebook, I think it is, and donate, they will match your donations.
I did not know that. You mean you have to create a donation, an actual thing?
I'm not 100%.
Well, how would they donate?
I think you can just donate, because on our Facebook, if you go to Now Matters More, they have a donate button on there. So I think any monies that we accrue during today, I think Facebook matches.
I think you need to look into that, because if not, then every member should have
I did it last year.
Posting a donate button.
I think I did it last year. Anyways, and then, yes, you can go to smile.amazon.com, I think it is. Their little thing where you can add us, the Now Matters More Foundation, as your charity, and then a portion of whatever you buy goes to us and costs you nothing, which is fantastic. We actually get quite a bit from that.
That's a huge thing, so I wanted to make sure
we get quite a bit from that every year.
Because not just now at Christmas time, but throughout the entire year, you just leave it in your system as the charity of choice. It costs you nothing.
Yeah, it's free for you.
Right.
But we get a portion of it, which is awesome.
If you're buying through Amazon and you don't have a charity selection at all, you're throwing money away that Amazon would gladly donate. Yep. They have the proceeds to do it. They have it in their budget. Yep. Don't worry about them.
But they're only doing it for tax write-off. I don't care.
I don't care.
Keep it coming.
And they're only doing it to get people to go through it. I don't care.
I don't care either.
I don't care.
So, all right, let me do my 3 tips, and we got to get out of here.
You had time. That's why I was.
We did have time.
Yeah.
Look at that, man.
Yeah, you don't have to do the tips until 58.
Oh, 58? Well,
57.
We got 2 more minutes.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you plug the smile.amazon.com
2 more minutes.
a little bit more. I think that's important. I think that people know how to do that.
No, what I like about it is obviously, like you said, year long we can have it. But I think a lot of people, especially today's day and age, they buy online a lot. You know, for loved ones, for Christmas, Cyber Monday. There's a whole day dedicated to it. And we get a portion of that. I know my mom. My mom is a big one. She shops a lot on Amazon, and she has us selected as her charity. We get. I don't think people understand how much money we do get from a foundation,
right?
From the Smile.Amazon and the Facebook birthdays. Facebook birthdays and Amazon Smile thing. We get so much throughout the year.
Right.
It might be $50 here, but it all adds up. Man.
Oh, it all adds up.
I get that. I think it's like every couple of weeks I get a message from Facebook saying that they submitted money.
Yes.
And it's usually like $200, $300, $400 every couple of weeks.
Yes, and I love, by the way, if you're with a company and you randomly just sent us a check, Don Mealy Sports Mazda in town recently just sent us a nice check.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah.
We didn't solicit it, we didn't ask for it. And they didn't even ask for advertisement or anything like that. But I'm gonna give them a plug anyway. Don Mealy Sports Mazda, right here in Orlando.
Yeah, they're good to us every year.
We get random checks throughout the year. Yep. It's not even just Christmas time. We get random checks throughout the year from Don Mealy Sports Mazda. So definitely everybody should be, if you're gonna be in the market for a new car, go down to Don Mealy Sports Mazda.
Absolutely. I think that's it. I think we got to do our 3 tips.
Okay.
Because it's now 58 or almost 58.
I'll handle it on this end.
Okay, so as you all know who watch the show, we go through our 3 tips where I kind of try to give you a synopsis of what we talked about today and some action steps moving forward. So the first one I have on here is you have to understand that initially people will always judge your action over your intent. That doesn't mean at some point later on you'll be able to get your intent out, but just understand that their reaction is not based upon what you thought your intent was. Their reaction is based upon what they perceived as your action. That's it. That's what their reaction is. The second one is you have to understand your actions dictate your future sometimes, most of the time. In other words, if you go around saying and doing things that's upsetting people or hurting people's feelings, you're seen as a certain kind of a way, then don't be surprised if you kind of get the repercussions of that moving forward. And if you want to change the way you're perceived, you're only going to do that through your actions. People can't see your intent walking around, but they can see your actions. So if you're wanting different responses from people, you're going to have to give them something different to respond to. And then lastly, do your best to work to see other people's intent. So at some point throughout the day, somebody's going to say or do something that might offend you, might rub you the wrong way, might look bad for you. Instead of immediately reacting to that, ask some questions. Try to understand what their intent was, and you might find out that you weren't so offended by it that you initially thought. And if you want people to do that for you, you got to start doing it for them. And I think those are my 3 tips today. So now that you know better, do better. Peace.
I think he plans it all out. Just makes it up as he goes along.
Human knowledge belongs to the world.